Did you know that your baby starts learning language before they even say their first word? In fact, by the time they're just 6 months old, their brain is already picking up sounds and speech patterns from the world around them. It's like they're tiny detectives, learning to decode the language even before they speak. What's even more mind-blowing? Babies understand way more than they can say. By 12 months, they can recognize up to 50 words, even if they're not speaking them yet. But here's the real kicker. The way you talk to your baby can actually change the way their brain develops. The more you engage with them, the faster they'll learn. So, why do some babies start speaking earlier than others? Is it just about exposure to words, or is there something deeper at play? In this video, we'll dive into the surprising science behind your baby's first words, from brain development to the role of music and social cues. Stick around, because there's a lot more going on in those first few sounds than you think. Chapter 1. The Brain's Baby Talk. A Neural Symphony. Did you know your baby's brain is already hard at work before they can even speak? From the moment they're born, their brain is absorbing sounds, speech patterns, and rhythms that lay the groundwork for future language skills. Babies have an incredible ability to pick up on the subtle nuances of speech. In fact, research shows that by 6 months, babies can already distinguish between different speech sounds in multiple languages. This ability starts to fade around 9 months, which is when they begin focusing on the language spoken around them. The brain's critical period for language development starts early, making these first few years vital for language acquisition. By age 2, a child's brain forms about 700 new neural connections every second. So, your baby's brain is like a sponge, soaking up everything they hear. To support this, simply talking to your baby helps build their vocabulary. In fact, studies show that babies who are spoken to more frequently in their first year of life tend to have larger vocabularies by the time they turn 3. Interestingly, babies' brains aren't just soaking up sounds, they're also starting to figure out the rules of language, long before they say their first word. They can already recognize patterns, like the way sentences are structured and how words are used. This process is called statistical learning. It's the brain's way of picking out patterns in the spoken language around them, helping them learn the structure of language even before they understand what the words mean. Parents might think their babies are just cooing when they babble, but this babbling is actually a sign of brain activity. Each time your baby makes a sound, they're strengthening the neural pathways that will eventually help them form words. The more you engage with them, talking, singing, or even making silly sounds, the stronger their brain connections become. Chapter 2. The Power of Parent-Child Babbling. It's not just cute. Babbling is a critical part of language development. It's not just adorable, it's the first step toward meaningful speech. Babies start babbling around 6 months, and that sound-making is their way of practicing the building blocks of language. Research from the University of Washington shows that when babies babble, they're not just mimicking sounds, they're experimenting with their vocal cords, learning how to form consonants and vowels. This babbling stage is more than just a playful noise, it's actually essential for your baby's speech development. According to linguist Patricia K. Kuhl, babies who have more vocal interactions with their caregivers tend to start using real words earlier. This is because frequent babbling encourages babies to refine their vocalizations and understand how to communicate. If you want your baby to reach that first word milestone sooner, start a babbling conversation with them. When they babble, respond as if you're having a conversation. This back and forth interaction is key. Research has shown that babies exposed to more conversational back and forth during their babbling stage have a larger vocabulary by the time they reach 24 months. This is one of the best ways to support language growth. Even if they can't form words yet, the act of vocalizing and receiving responses teaches babies the rhythm of conversation, which is essential for their future language skills. As parents, it's easy to get caught up in the idea that babbling is just noise. But in reality, each little sound your baby makes is laying the foundation for their future speech. One of the best things you can do to nurture this stage is to make eye contact, smile, and mimic their sounds. You're teaching them that communication is a two-way street, and this early connection has lasting impacts on their social and language development. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to learn more tips on how to help your baby's language development. Chapter 3. Speech Sounds. Why, Mama, comes first. It's a surprise. Why do many babies say, Mama, before anything else? You might think it's because babies are especially close to their mothers, but there's actually a scientific reason for this pattern. Mama is made up of two sounds that are easier for babies to produce, the M and the ah sound. Research suggests that these sounds are easier for babies because they involve simpler mouth movements and vibrations. The M sound, in particular, is produced by closing the lips together, which is a motion babies are naturally inclined to make when they're exploring their mouths. In fact, the first sounds babies make are often composed of simple vowels and consonants that are easy to articulate. This is why Mama and Dada often come early. By the time babies are around 6 months old, they're learning to control their mouth, lips, and tongue. The first words they produce are typically those that involve sounds they've been practicing through babbling. But it's not all about simple sounds, context matters too. Studies from Stanford University show that babies are more likely to say, Mama, or Dada, as their first words because these words are used in high-frequency, emotional contexts. When babies hear their names, especially in the presence of strong emotional cues, they start associating these sounds with meaning. Your baby doesn't just hear the sound, Mama, they hear it with warmth, affection, and connection. Interestingly, some studies show that babies who hear more diverse sounds and words early on may start speaking a bit later but have a richer vocabulary when they do. This suggests that while the first words may be simple, the richness of language exposure in the first year can significantly affect later language development. Engaging your baby with a variety of words, sounds, and emotions can help set them up for more advanced language skills as they grow. If you're enjoying these insights, don't forget to subscribe for more on how to support your baby's language development. Chapter 4. The Role of Social Cues. Babies are little detectives. One of the most amazing things about babies is how early they begin to understand social cues. From the moment they're born, babies are absorbing facial expressions, body language, and tone of voice. In fact, research has shown that by just 6 weeks old, babies can distinguish between happy and sad faces. This early skill is crucial because it helps babies figure out how to communicate before they can even speak. It's not just about hearing words. Babies are keen observers, using social cues to make sense of the world around them. When you speak to your baby with a smile or an excited tone, they are not only hearing your words but also feeling the emotions behind them. According to developmental psychologist Michael Tomasello, babies are born with the ability to interpret these social signals, which is essential for learning how to communicate effectively. When you make eye contact or use gestures, you're providing valuable context for the words you say. Research shows that babies are more likely to imitate your actions when they can see your face and feel your emotional engagement. This is why face-to-face interactions are so important in the early months. Your baby is learning not just words, but also how to read and respond to the social world around them. In fact, babies begin to understand that their actions can influence those around them by the age of 6 months. This is when they start engaging in joint attention, a crucial skill for language development. When you point to an object and your baby looks in the same direction, they're not just following your finger, they're learning how to share attention and meaning. This early form of communication helps set the foundation for more complex language skills later on. To support this, make sure you're offering lots of verbal and nonverbal cues during interactions. Speak to your baby in an expressive way, with exaggerated facial expressions, and provide plenty of opportunities for them to talk back to you through babbling or gestures. These interactions help them build the social skills necessary for effective communication. The more engaged you are, the more your baby will learn. Chapter 5. The Influence of Music and Rhythm. Rocking the language boat. Music plays a surprisingly important role in your baby's language development. From the moment they are born, babies are drawn to rhythm and melody. This is not a coincidence. Research shows that babies as young as 2 months can recognize rhythmic patterns, and they show a preference for listening to music with a steady beat. The exposure to music is not just fun, it helps babies tune into the patterns and rhythms of language. Studies have found that babies who are exposed to music early on tend to develop stronger language skills. For example, research from the University of Washington found that babies who were exposed to music through singing and rhythm exercises had better attention spans and were quicker to pick up new words. Music helps babies practice the flow of language, how sounds move in a rhythm, and supports their understanding of speech sounds and patterns. When you sing to your baby, you're helping them recognize the melody and rhythm of language. Even simple lullabies or nursery rhymes can have a powerful impact. The repetitive nature of these songs reinforces the sounds and structures of language. According to psychologist Anita Collins, music and language development are closely linked because both rely on the brain's ability to recognize patterns. When you sing or play music for your baby, you're giving them an early lesson in the rhythms that will later help them with speech. The benefits of music don't stop with language. Research also shows that babies who engage with music develop better cognitive, emotional, and social skills. For example, babies who listen to music are better able to understand emotions and express themselves. Singing to your baby or simply playing music around the house helps create a rich, stimulating environment that encourages language and emotional development. A fun tip for parents: when you sing, use a variety of pitches and speeds. This variation helps babies tune into different sounds, enhancing their auditory processing skills. You don't have to be a professional singer, just let your natural voice carry the rhythm and melody. It's the consistency and exposure that matter most. Chapter 6. The First Word Milestone: More than just a word. Your baby's first word is a momentous occasion, but it's more than just a cute milestone. It signals a significant leap in your baby's cognitive development. By the time your baby says their first word, they've already been processing and understanding language for months, even if they can't speak it yet. Research shows that babies understand far more than they can express. By 12 months, babies typically understand up to 50 words, even if they haven't said any themselves. The first word is a major cognitive achievement, marking the point where your baby begins to connect sounds with meanings. It's not just about mimicking sounds. Your baby is understanding that the word, mama, refers to you, their parent, and that they can use it to get your attention. This understanding of symbolic communication is a crucial part of language development. Interestingly, some research suggests that babies are more likely to say their first word in the presence of a familiar person, such as a parent, because they feel safe and encouraged. This highlights the importance of emotional support during the early stages of language development. If you celebrate and encourage your baby's attempts to speak, they are more likely to keep trying and eventually form new words. What's also fascinating is that the first word isn't always the simplest. While mama and dada are common first words, some babies surprise their parents by saying things like dog or ball. This shows that language development is not a one-size-fits-all process. Every baby moves at their own pace. The environment plays a role too. Babies who hear a wider variety of words and experiences are more likely to start speaking early. Supporting your baby's first word is all about being interactive. Talk to them often, encourage imitation, and celebrate their efforts. When they say a sound or try to repeat after you, give them positive reinforcement. These small gestures help create a secure and engaging environment that fosters language growth. Even if the first word is mama or dada, know that it's a huge step in your baby's journey to full communication. Thanks for watching. If you found these insights helpful, make sure to subscribe for more expert tips on how to support your baby's language development every step of the way.